Our mission today is to give you a real knowledge shortcut. We take a pile of source material, all the chaos within it, and just navigate it for you.
And today we're diving into the French progressive power metal scene.
Specifically, the fourth album from the band Darktribe, which is called Forgotten Reveries.
And this isn't just a standard deep dive. I mean, this is a critical battleground. Our sources today are a stack of Italian metal webzines from November 2025.
Right.
We've got Metal Shock, Metallus.edu, and TrueMetal.at. And honestly, it feels like they listened to 3 completely separate albums.
It's unbelievable. So our promise to you is that we're going to pull out the core knowledge you need by pitting these critics against each other.
Yeah, track by track, concept by concept.
We're going to compare what 3 different, very experienced critics heard in the exact same songs. We'll cite everything, keep all the names and titles clear.
And the conflict here is, it's just astounding. One source calls this album simply perfect.
Simply perfect.
And another one dismisses it as inconsistent, repetitive, and get this, leaning towards pop music.
Oof.
So we're here to unpack that extreme split and figure out what's going on so you know exactly what you're getting into when you sit down to listen to this album.
Okay, let's set the stage a bit first. A little context. Darktribe is a quartet from France, and they're planted firmly in that progressive power metal camp.
Right, and it's important to know that the core members have clear Italian roots. We're talking Anthony Agnello, Rudy Caprani, Loic Manuello.
And the band knows it too. They even have a track called Sicilian Danza. So this really connects them directly to the Italian critics who are reviewing them here.
Oh, that connection runs deep. Forgotten Reveries is their 4th album, and it's on an Italian label, Scarlet Records.
And the production quality.
I mean, it's undeniably high. That's something everyone agrees on, especially Metal Shock. The mixing, the mastering, it was all done by Simone Mulleroni at Domination Studios.
Which is a powerhouse name in metal. That guarantees a certain kind of sound, a really clean, top-tier sound.
But that right there is a fascinating paradox, isn't it? Especially for power metal.
How so?
Well, when you hire a producer like Mulleroni, you get this crystal clarity, this perfect polish.
Okay.
But doesn't that run the risk of, sanitizing the sound a little? If the production is too polished, does it lose some of that grit, that raw intensity that some fans of the genre really demand?
That's a great question. And it's definitely hanging over all these reviews.
It absolutely is. And lyrically, it seems like they're trying to balance that polish with some real depth.
The themes are huge. Universal, even.
Yeah.
Fear, solitude, family, life's journey, identity.
The struggle between life and death. The Metal Shock review even said the topics were almost disproportionate to the song format, like they were packing these massive ideas into these tracks.
And the artwork by Baptiste Rajo reflects that too, this idea of memory and time slipping away between the fingers. It's all very introspective.
And musically, their intention, which Metal Shock points out, is really the key to why the critics just splintered.
What was the intention?
They're trying to balance classic European power metal with something more modern. You get the melodic riffs, the rhythmic intensity.
What?
But they are deliberately, and this is the key, deliberately avoiding the infinite prog architectures of their peers.
You mean like Symphony X or Stradivarius?
Exactly. So if you're listening to this, what that means is you should probably expect more focus on groove and song structure, not so much on crazy, complex time signatures.
Fewer 10-minute epics, more verse-chorus structure, and a strong melodic hook.
They're trying to find a more, maybe human space within the genre, less ornate.
Okay, so their goal is accessible complexity, but it sounds like that line between accessible and simplistic it was invisible.
Completely. Which led to 3 totally different albums in the minds of these critics.
So let's break that down. Let's start with the highest praise.
Let's start at the enthusiastic end. With the review from TrueMetal.edu, they gave it an 80 out of 100.
With a high score.
A very high score. They called it Darktribe's most mature and personal album composed finora, so, composed to date.
So for them, the band fully realized their potential here.
Yes. They even compared the sound favorably to bands like Temperance and Hollow Haze. Ultimately, they just called it good music, made with the heart and passion. For them, it's a definitive win.
All right, so that's the high point. What about the middle?
That brings us to the measured middle, which is Metal Shock. This critic is positive, but cautious, very cautious.
Okay.
They say the album is curato pensato, which means, curated, thoughtful. They also call it coherente, so it's coherent, it hangs together.
But they don't love it.
They explicitly say it's not an instant classic. They felt the band was maybe prudente nelas artisticis or prudent in their stylistic choices.
Which sounds like code for they played it safe.
It sounds a lot like that, like they didn't take the risks needed for true greatness.
That leads to the low end of the spectrum.
The skeptical end. This is from Metallis.at, and this review expresses significant, almost frustrated disappointment.
Really?
Yeah. They say the band is dotato di notevoli mezzi tecnici, so they're endowed with notable technical skill. But that talent is ultimately inespresso, unexpressed, or wasted.
Wasted? Why?
Because of general inconsistenza, repetidità, and spiadita impronta melodica, a faded or splotched melodic imprint.
Wait, hold on. How can the technical talent be notable, but also unexpressed?
Yeah.
Usually, technical skill saves a power metal album from being repetitive.
That's the crux of it. The critic is saying the potential is there, they can hear it, but the songwriting just failed to use those skills.
So they're looking for technical invention, but finding restraint instead. It goes back to that playing it safe idea.
Exactly. For Metallis.at, that restraint became a critical weakness. And this sets us up perfectly because the disagreement isn't just about a general vibe.
It's about specific songs.
Diametrically opposed interpretations of specific musical choices. This is where it gets really interesting.
Let's start with the riff battle. The song Ghost Memories. This is the first track where the sources are just completely at odds.
Completely. TrueMetal.et, they declare this song to be a manifesto of power metal.
A manifesto. Wow.
Yeah. They praise its frizzanti or sparkling rhythms and its really fast solo parts. For them, this is pure high-octane genre perfection.
Okay. And the other side?
The critic at Metallis. It just dismisses the exact same track. Not only dismisses it, they say it relies on riff-deboli, weak riffs.
Weak riffs versus a genre manifesto.
Think about that for a second. One person hears sparkling rhythms and solos, the other hears fundamental weakness in the core instrument.
It's impossible unless they're listening for different things.
Go on.
Maybe the True Metal id critic is focused on the performance, the speed, the energy, the execution of the solo.
Okay.
While the Metallis critic is listening for something else in the main riff itself, like harmonic invention or a really memorable hook. If the riff is just structurally simple and relies on speed, one critic hears power.
And the other hears a lack of depth.
Exactly.
That hypothesis could explain this entire split. And if we move to the single, I Walk Alone, the criticism shifts. It focuses on the chorus.
Metallis says the verses have a ritmica robusta ed incalzante, a robust pressing rhythm. So the heavy part is good.
Right.
But then they say that energy is just dissolved by a chorus that is tanto dolce quanto vago, as sweet as it is vague.
So for that critic, the song just loses its bite as soon as the singing comes in.
Yeah, all its progressive power is gone.
But then you have Metal Shock, who describes that exact same dualism as a positive. They hear the solid riffs, but they say the chorus is cercano la memoria più che l'impatto di immediato.
They seek memory more than immediate impact.
Right. So for Metal Shock, the fact that it's not an immediate aggressive hit is a sign of sophistication. The chorus is meant to linger with you.
Which brings us right back to the album's main theme, memory and time. If the choruses are designed to seek memory, that's a subtle approach.
It prioritizes long-term retention over short-term gratification.
But if you're a power metal fan who just wants that immediate impact, that subtlety is going to register as a weakness. Or worse, dilution.
Which brings us to what you called the identity crisis track, Reality.
Ah, yes.
This is where the band's ambition to be modern really divides the critics and potentially loses the purists completely.
Yeah. The Metallis.it review points to this song as proof. Proof that the band's fundamental nature is becoming too melodica fino, all'ambire I confini del pop.
Melodic until it touches the borders of pop.
And they were not subtle about it. They went so far as to suggest that Reality could tranquillamente rappresentare la Francia Eurovision.
Whoa.
It could easily represent France at Eurovision.
That is the nuclear option of metal criticism.
It really is.
I mean, that comparison implies a total abandonment of the genre for mass appeal. It's condemnation of their entire direction.
But the more positive review from TrueMetal.it, they acknowledge the party electro that start the song. They confirm that these electronic elements are something the band has always experimented with.
No.
This wasn't some sudden shift.
Precisely. The elements are there for everyone to hear, the electronic beat, the sweetness. But for one side, it's progressive evolution. For the other, it's an absolute betrayal.
So if you're listening to this, your enjoyment is going to hinge entirely on where you fall on that spectrum.
Do those elements expand the definition of progressive power metal, or do they push it out of the genre entirely? That's the question you have to answer.
So amidst all this critical chaos, we have to find some consensus. There has to be something they agree on.
Right, because that's what reveals the band's undeniable strengths when they step away from the cliches.
And there is something.
There is. Consensus point number one is the ballads, the slower, more intimate moments.
Eden and Eclipse.
That track gets praised across the board. True Metal, it calls it a simply perfect piece with shiver-inducing vocals from Anthony Agnello.
And even the harshest critic, Metallus.eat, agrees on this point, which is remarkable.
It is. They note that in these moments, the band's linearità diventa un valore. Their linearity becomes a value.
So when they stop trying to force that grandiosity of the faster tracks, their actual skills and clarity really shine.
Exactly. And the second point of universal agreement is the new drummer, Guillaume Marrero.
Oh, yes.
He's recognized by everyone as a standout performer. It suggests the rhythm section really benefits from that super clean production we talked about.
And Metallus.it, the skeptical source,
Yeah.
the one who hated the riffs, describes his performance as the migliore e più convinta on the album, the best and most convinced, specifically on the track From Star to Dust. That's high praise from someone who dislikes the rest of the record.
And Metal Shock agrees, praising his drumming inspired drumming on that exact same track.
So if you're looking for an unquestionable dose of power that all three Italian webzines agree on,
You look straight to the new drummer, Guillaume Marrero.
and the album ends on a final creative flourish too. The last track, Son of Illusion.
True Metal. It highlights that one for bringing back elegant prog power parts, and for including these unique recited parts.
Recited parts.
Yeah, a due voci, with two voices, una delle quali femminile, one of which is female. So they're saving some of their most experimental ideas for the very end, trying to leave a strong impression.
Okay, so let's bring all this together. A final synthesis of forgotten reveries.
We understand its core tension now. The album succeeds, really succeeds, when it embraces its melodic core and risks being introspective, like on the ballad, Eden, and Eclipse.
That's when its linearity is a virtue.
Exactly. But the struggle comes when the band tries to marry that melodic clarity and polished production with traditional power metal.
And the Metallus critique really boils down to the vocals, doesn't it?
It does. They feel the singer's clean, functional, melodic vocals just can't support the required weight, the artificial grandiosity of the genre's structures.
And that lack of raw power in the heavy parts is what leads them to call the whole thing aquoso.
Watery. Diluted.
So this deep dive really shows that your experience with Darktribe depends completely on your expectations.
It really does. Will you hear the powerful manifesto of power metal that True Metal.it heard? Or will you find it all a bit diluted when the pop elements surface, like Metallus.it did?
It's a choose-your-own-adventure album, depending on what you prioritize.
It really is.
And that leads us to our final thought for you to explore as you go and listen. Given bands' consistent attempts to bring in melodic rock and electro elements, I mean, we heard it in reality and From Star to Dust, does the pressure of being labeled progressive power metal actually confine the band?
That is the core question, isn't it? Does the label limit their melodic ambition, forcing them to put in riffs and speed where their heart really lies in sweetness and memory?
Or, on the other hand, does that genre framework give them a necessary structure? Something that stops them from just dissolving completely into a melodic rock act?
Can the best, most personal music truly emerge when a band is caught exactly between its heavy, established roots and its undeniable melodic ambition?
I wasn't lying, I wasn't sure.